Hey friend, today you're gonna learn 5 lessons on how to produce modern deep house like Cakes or Avion from the labels selected. My name is Leo already. I'm a producer and owner of Abstract Music Lab, and I'm super excited to be here on PML's channel. Today we're gonna cover the drums, the bass processing, the vocals, the leads, and pretty much everything from modern deep house. I'm super excited about this, so let's get started. The foundation of every electronic song are the drums, and we're gonna get started by listening to the drums alone. And we're gonna go through pretty much everything at this point. So we're gonna get started with the kick. You can see it's a pretty big kick, and if you look at the wavetable here, it's really big. It's more than half a bar, which is really nice. We have a little bit of processing here, just taking a bit of resonant frequencies and something just giving a bit more click without. What is good about this kick is that it has a really nice tail here. So it essentially has a really nice big low end in the sound, as you can see in the waveform. And as you can listen as well. Now we also go and have claps in the song. So if you listen to the claps, we have 3 main claps over here. We have first the initial clap, which has that characteristic sound. Then we have the second clap, which gives a bit more energy to the sound. If you listen to it alone, we're taming a bit of the low mids just to layer on top of the first clap. And that gives more energy to the clap. And then we have the third one, which is just a quick rim. You can see that we're filtering a lot of it without it. We just want a little bit more. This is in mono. We make it a bit more stereo, just to give a little bit more impact in the snare. And then we have these 3 percussions and snares. Listen to them. They essentially make the percussions a bit more playful. Instead of being so basic, boom, clap, now it has a bit of more playfulness into it because it has some off notes. And you can see that we're playing here this percussion in the second part of the kick. So the kick is here. So the kick is here, it ends at this point, but we're already playing something in the middle of the kick. If you see, this is 1/16. So in the second slot of the 1/16. We also play it in the third slot of the 1/16, as you can listen to this one. And the snare is the same thing. We're playing the snare in the second slot of the 1/16. Again, this just adds a little bit of playfulness into it. But when we add this percussion loop here, this gives more swing to the sound. It gives more like a into the sound. And it essentially speeds up the sound again. Listen to it without it. And with it. The notes every 16 bars in this percussion loop pretty much speeds the whole loop that we're listening to. And just adds a bit more depth into the progression. And then we also have hats. So you can see that this first close hat is essentially just hitting along with the kick. We also have a main hat which plays on the counter beat. But this is layered into 2 elements. We have first the close hat and also the shaker. The shaker is to add a bit more of an organic feeling to this hat, while the close hat is to give a bit more impact to this hat. Together. Now everything again. And to finish everything, we end up with this shaker loop. This adds more swing into the sound, almost like the percussion loops that we had before, but shaker loops are really nice to add swing to the sound. But pay attention, because since we're doing modern deep house, we're using a shaker. If you are doing something a bit more aggressive, a shaker could be a bit too soft. But this is adequate because modern deep house is chiller than normal, so that's why we're using a shaker. It's worth mentioning here in the shaker loops that if you listen to it, they're playing here in the 2nd and 4th position, essentially to fill in the gaps. So where we don't have anything, we already have a hat here. And notice that this one is slightly shifted as well. But you can see that this is playing only where we don't have anything to fill the gaps and make the percussion more interesting as well. If you want to check the shaker, we're doing something really cool where we make the shaker go left and right, instead of just playing in the center, just by using auto pan. And if you listen to everything again, to add more energy as you progress with your drop, one thing that you can do is you can add effects, or you can also add open hats. They add a bit more energy to the sound. Or you can add rides as well. And you can see how this makes the percussion even more interesting. But now let's go to the next part. After there's a solid foundation in the percussions, you need also a solid bassline progression. And modern deep house normally has a syncopated groove because that's really nice for the dance floors, as you can listen over here. In solo, without sidechain. So going a little bit more into detail, let's start with the sub. And you can see that we have a sine wave, which is essentially doing the sub, and we also have a saw wave, sub, character, and we also have this FM wave. We don't have any effects, but all the effects are coming here from this FM wave because this is pretty much giving a lot of character to the sound. And we need to open this sound slightly, as you can see here with envelope 2. This is a plucky sound. We're opening this in the cutoff here and also boosting a bit of these frequencies to give a bit more body to the bass. Now we also have the mid bass. In this mid bass, we're essentially doing a low cut here because we already have something coming from the low end. So if you listen here and combine them, they complement each other. What is this one doing here? This is again another plucky bass. And we're using different wavetables to create more character into this bass. Because if you only use the saw wave, that would be pretty much the same thing as the sub wave. So that's why we're using different wavetables for this one. A little bit of effects to make it a little bit wider without it. And this makes the bass line a lot wider. You can also see here in the MIDI that we have a really plucky bass. And we have these detail notes over here to accentuate a little bit of the rhythm. Again. You can also do these steps over here to essentially go from one note to the other because that's really cool. But again, these little details, not all the time, but they give a really cool accent to the bass progression. And on top of that, we also have some effects. We have this EQ just boosting a bit of the mids. We have sidechain and a bit of saturation just to boost a bit more of the frequencies there. In context again, sidechain. This way the bass jumps a bit more. We're doing two sidechains here, as you can listen. Because this one we're getting more of the overall sound of the kick, and this one more of the peaks, as you can see. And you can see that the difference is that this one is taking all the frequencies above 80 Hz, so that makes the sidechain here fuller, and this one above 250, which makes it smaller, and that's where we're getting only the peaks here. But now let's go to our next part. Deep house without chord progressions and a lead is just something that doesn't really match. So if you listen, for example, to the song with a chord or just a lead, it doesn't sound as rich compared to if you have both together. But what are they doing? Essentially, if you look here into the MIDI of the chord progression, which we're going to start with, we're playing here the tone and the third. And the tone is essentially the bass line that you're playing in your chord progression over here. And you can see that the bass goes up, then it goes down, then it goes up. So it plays tone, third, fifth, and fourth. Here we're doing something different. We're playing tone, third, fifth, but an octave up, and fourth. Why? Just because this gets us better chords, because essentially it's the same thing. Now we're complementing the tone with the third here. Sometimes also with the fifth. Just to make the chord progressions a little bit richer. But why are we putting the third an octave up? To make the chord progression a little bit richer and to make it melodically better. Doesn't it sound better than this? Or this? It just sounds richer and fuller this way. Pay attention to the little details over here that we do variations just to not keep the same. So we do the variations here, we also do them over here, and we also do them over here. In context, you can see that the sound is just pretty much a saw wave and just a plucky saw wave, as you can listen over here. It's just a plucky saw wave, a little bit of reverb and delay to create a little bit more ambience. But the key here is this. Why are we doing this EQ? We're doing a couple of things here. We're taming the low end because we already have the low end coming from the bass pluck. So we don't need another low end part over here. We're taming the high end because the high end is going to come from the lead. So we don't need this as well. And we're giving this region specially for this chord progression. So now this is the focus of this chord, this is not the focus, and this is not the focus. And why? Again, now we have the lead. And if you listen to the lead together, you can see in the lead that we're taking this frequency region away from the lead because we're already giving it to the chord progression. So we don't need two elements playing the same thing, otherwise it just can sound crowded. What are we playing here in the lead? This is a more open sound. It has another plucky feeling, but now with a little bit of noise since we have a bit of the high end here. A lot of delay as you can listen, and just the plucky feeling just moving here into the cutoff. But a lot of delay, a lot of ambience without them. It just sounds poor and weak, and this sounds a lot richer. And if you look at the MIDI progression, this is essentially the same thing as what we're doing here in the third. Overlapped, you can see that it's the same thing. So this playful thing that we're doing here in the chord progression, this later is going to become your lead. From here we can add even more stuff, for example, a pad. Again, just doing a swell sound. This is again another saw wave. Just focus on this high end because we already have the chords here again. Or you can also add an ARP. Again, just focus on the high end and just another plucky sound. This adds more harmonics and just giving a bit more background into the original sounds. Again, just a pluck. We have the lead reinforcing the main chord pluck, and pads and arps just giving background. Cool, but now let's go into our next part. To create more textures, more depth into your sound, and to involve all the elements that you have in your progression, it's always important to have a lot of atmos in your song. So for example, if you want to listen to them, you can see that they play nothing really close to what we're playing already in the chord progression or the lead progression, because they're there to complement and to give more texture and richness to your sound. But what are we doing? First, we have this pluck is just playing here F sharp and A sharp, and if you remember, we are in G sharp, and this is playing the second and also the sevenths. Why playing different notes than the chord progression? To give more richness. You can see how this adds a little bit of background into the sound. Now we also have this plucky saw. This is again another plucky saw wave, a little bit more open than the first one. This is more of a plucky sound, really short. But if you look at this one, the goal here is to complement the groove, and the goal here is to complement the chord progression, just giving a bit more richness into it. Again, what are we playing? We're not playing G sharp, as you can see. We're playing the second, and we're also playing the fifth. There you go. Why all these different notes? To give more richness to the sound. Now, pluck saw. Again, another plucky sawtooth. Just complementing the background. And we also have this sine pad. If you look at what the sine pad is playing, again, the second and an octave of the second. So when you're doing backgrounds, always important to not only use the root of your sound. You can use them, but diversify using thirds, fifths, sevenths, fourths, just to bring a little bit more emotion and tension into your sound. If you want to look, for example, to all of them together, you can see how, again, we complement the root note, which is G sharp, and just giving more textures into the sound. But now let's go into the next part of this video. Deep house is also about catchy and deep vocals that, together with the instrumental, make an emotional centerpiece into the song. Listen to the vocals alone. Lost in the motion. When I see you, I get lost in the motion. Only one look is enough and I'm frozen. All the things we left us. For lyrics, simple themes, normally about love, work really well with deep house. And I normally like to share my personal love stories with the vocalist that I'm working with, so the story feels a little bit more real and also a bit more relatable to me. So that's also something that you can do with your vocalist. But now going into the vocal itself, we have the main vocal. Lost in the motion. When I see you, I get lost in the motion. Only one look is. This sits in the center of your song, and if you listen to the song without anything else, lost in the motion. When I see you, I get lost in the motion. What we're doing here is a bit of multiband dynamics to compress the vocal a little bit and to make it a little bit flatter throughout the track, because we want to listen to the same loudness of the vocal throughout the whole track. Just EQing it a little bit slightly. And now the cool thing here is with this envelope follower,
lost in the motion. When I see you, I get lost.
We don't want as much reverb and delay when the vocal is actually coming through. So you can see how when the vocal comes through, you're going to see that this is going to rise. And the delays and the reverbs, you can see the dry wet over here, they're going to lower a little bit.
Lost in the motion. When I see you, I get lost in the motion. Only one look is enough and I'm frozen.
We also have a little bit of side chaining just so it can bounce along with the song.
Lost in the motion. When I see you, I get lost in the motion.
This way the whole song has the same kind of groove. Now we complement this vocal with doubles.
Lost in the motion. When I see you, I get lost in the motion.
In solo.
Lost in the motion. When I see you, I get lost in the motion.
We have the same processing for doubles, and you can even sometimes make your double a little bit more reverby or delayed to make it a bit fuller and to make it a bit deeper as well. But the key here is to make your doubles wide, so you can do this with utility, just going a little bit bigger on the utility, and also doing some formant shifting into the vocal just to make it a little bit different from the original, giving a different sensation to the original vocal.
Lost in the motion. When I see you, I get lost in the motion. Only one look is enough and I'm frozen.
And you can also complement your vocal with effects, such as this one. Or these ones. This is essentially just a blur of vocal, but that adds a lot of depth and a lot of energy to the song. If you want to dive deeper into this project file, check out the Melodic House Sound Pack Beyond Life, which you can find over here in the description below. It features fully produced Ableton projects, samples, presets, MIDIs, and a lot more for you to play around with. Now, let me know over here in the comments below which of these tips are going to use the most in your song, and I hope that you liked the video. If you like, hit the like button. If you loved it, subscribe to the channel, and I see you in the next video. This is Leo from Abstract Music Lab signing off. Ciao.